There's a moment that happens when you travel, sometimes without warning, when you stop and think, wait, this doesn't feel like the United States anymore. The accents sound different, the architecture shifts, the food tastes unfamiliar in the best way, and suddenly your brain forgets you're still on American soil. You didn't cross an ocean. You didn't go through customs. And yet, everything around you feels foreign, immersive, and completely transporting. That's what this journey is about. On Plan My Trip, we're not chasing the obvious landmarks or the places everyone already knows. Today, we're uncovering underrated places in the USA that feel like another country, destinations that offer international vibes, deep culture, and unforgettable experiences, all without leaving the country. These are the places that surprise you, slow you down, and make you feel like you've discovered something special. So settle in. Let your imagination travel. Because some of the most international experiences in the world are hiding right here at home. The first stop takes you somewhere that feels more like Southern Europe than the American West. When you arrive in Santa Fe, New Mexico, the shift is immediate. The buildings glow in warm earth tones, the streets feel ancient, and the air carries the scent of Chile and desert sage. This isn't the kind of place you rush through. Santa Fe moves slowly, intentionally, like a Spanish colonial town that never forgot its roots. As you walk through the historic plaza, you'll notice how the architecture tells a story. Adobe walls, wooden beams, and courtyards that feel pulled straight from Spain or Mexico. The food deepens the illusion. Red chile, green chile, handmade tortillas, and slow-cooked dishes, rooted in centuries of tradition. Even the art scene feels old world, with galleries showcasing Native American craftsmanship and Spanish influence side by side. By sunset, as the desert light softens and the mountains glow in the distance, Santa Fe doesn't feel American at all. It feels timeless. Now imagine swapping the desert for the ocean and stepping into a place that feels unmistakably Caribbean. Key West. Florida is unlike anywhere else in the continental United States. Life here doesn't follow clocks. It follows tides, sunsets, and live music drifting through the air. Pastel-colored houses line narrow streets, palm trees sway overhead, and the pace of life feels closer to the Bahamas than mainland Florida. Mornings begin with Cuban coffee and ocean breezes. Afternoons drift by on bikes, boats, or barefoot walks along the water. By evening, the entire island gathers to celebrate the sunset as if it's a sacred ritual. Street performers, musicians, laughter, and applause fill the air as the sky turns orange and pink. There's something deeply freeing about Key West. It doesn't ask you to do more, it invites you to let go. And that's exactly why it feels like another country. From the Caribbean, the journey shifts north, far north, to a place that feels straight out of Europe. Leavenworth, Washington doesn't just borrow from Bavarian culture, it fully commits to it. Tucked into the Cascade Mountains, this small town looks like it was lifted from the Alps and gently placed in the Pacific Northwest. Timber-framed buildings, flower-filled balconies, and mountain backdrops make it feel more like Germany than America. In the fall, the town glows with autumn colors. In winter, snow transforms it into a storybook village. And year-round, the food seals the illusion. Sausages, pretzels, schnitzel, and warm bread, served in cozy restaurants where laughter echoes off wooden walls. When you wake up to mist rolling through the mountains and church bells chiming softly, it's easy to forget what country you're in. Leavenworth doesn't just look European, it feels European. Next, the landscape changes again, taking you somewhere that feels ancient, spiritual, and entirely removed from modern life. Sedona, Arizona doesn't resemble another country so much as another planet. Towering red rock formations rise from the desert like cathedrals, glowing at sunrise and sunset in shades of fire and gold. The energy here feels different. Quiet, expansive, almost sacred. You hike through canyons that feel untouched by time. You sit in silence beneath endless skies, You watch the stars emerge at night with a clarity you rarely see elsewhere. Many people come to Sedona for healing, reflection, or spiritual renewal. And whether you believe in vortexes or not, there's no denying that this place changes how you breathe, think, and feel. It doesn't feel like the United States. It feels like a desert sanctuary somewhere far beyond it. Now picture a coastal town where the air smells of salt and history, and the architecture whispers stories from centuries ago. St. Augustine, Florida is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the US, and walking its streets feels like stepping into Spain. Stone forts, narrow alleys, courtyards, and colonial buildings create an atmosphere that feels unmistakably European. You wander past centuries-old landmarks, sip coffee in hidden courtyards, and listen to echoes of Spanish influence in the food, music, and design. Even the pace of life feels slower here, as if the city never rushed to catch up with the modern world. At sunset, as light reflects off the old stone walls and the ocean breeze rolls in, St. Augustine feels far removed from contemporary America, and closer to the Mediterranean than you'd expect. The journey continues west to a place that feels like the Pacific Islands, without ever leaving the mainland. Avalon, on Catalina Island, California, exists in a world of its own. Just a short boat ride from Los Angeles, the island immediately strips away the noise and urgency of city life. Cars are rare. Golf carts glide through quiet streets. The harbor glows with turquoise water that rivals tropical destinations. Days here are slow and intentional, snorkeling in crystal-clear coves, lounging by the water, walking through hills that overlook the ocean. The Mediterranean-style architecture, relaxed pace, and island culture make Avalon feel like coastal Europe or the Greek islands. Except you're still in California. It's the kind of place where time stretches and worries fade, and that's exactly what makes it feel foreign in the best way. Then there's a place that feels almost Nordic in spirit, quiet, moody, and deeply connected to nature. Bar Harbor, Maine sits on the edge of Acadia National Park, where rocky coastlines, pine forests, and misty mornings dominate the landscape. The air is crisp, the water is cold and powerful, and the entire town feels like it belongs somewhere along the coast of Scandinavia. Here, mornings begin with fog lifting off the ocean. Days are spent hiking rugged trails, watching waves crash against granite cliffs, and breathing in air that feels impossibly fresh. Evenings bring cozy restaurants, warm lights, and a sense of calm that's hard to describe. Bar Harbor doesn't try to impress, it simply exists, quietly and beautifully, like a northern European retreat. And finally, the journey ends somewhere vibrant, colorful, and bursting with cultural energy. San Juan, Puerto Rico, yes, still part of the United States, feels entirely international. Cobblestone streets wind through old San Juan, lined with pastel buildings, open balconies, and historic forts overlooking the sea. Music spills into the streets. Food fills the air with aroma and soul. Here, history isn't tucked away in museums. It's alive in everyday life. You walk through plazas that feel European, eat food rooted in Caribbean tradition, and watch waves crash against centuries-old walls. San Juan is proof that you don't need to leave US territory to experience a completely different world. What all of these places have in common isn't just how they look, it's how they make you feel. They slow you down, they shift your perspective. They remind you that travel isn't about distance, it's about immersion. It's about stepping into spaces that challenge your assumptions and expand your sense of what's possible. And maybe that's the most powerful lesson of all. You don't always need a passport to feel transformed. Sometimes the most extraordinary journeys are hiding right in front of you, waiting to be seen with fresh eyes. If this video inspired you to rethink what travel in the USA can look like, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay connected with Plan My Trip. Because the world is bigger, richer, and closer than you think, and the next unforgettable destination might already be calling your name.